I'm getting emotional telling this to you. I'm the only guy qualified right now to go do the job that needs to get done. I would rather die than go to the hospital right now because I'm going to do my job. I have a mission. I'm clear about what my mission is, and I am going to get it done.
Wow, that sounds like an intense job. If anything, like that's like the most intense. The person that goes in and saves firefighters in the collapsed buildings, in the fire, in 9/11.
So here's the deal. He's working a whole day. He's completely dehydrated. And there's parts of the story I probably shouldn't share, but the punchline is critical.
Okay.
So he comes in and he needs some food and he's cramping and he's tired. He's not a young mellow. I mean, he's probably in his 40s, I would say. He's in good shape, but he's tired. You could see he's tired. We check his pressure and it's way low. He's totally dehydrated. And the medics, put in a large bore IV in the bag, just like, the big liter bag, just shoots right in. So they put another one in the other arm, starts emptying out. He's like out of fluid, basically.
Wow.
And they're like, listen, sir, you're going to have to go to the hospital. I mean, we just started lines on you or whatever. And he starts ripping the thing out of his arm. I'm like, whoa, wait, what are you doing? And I'll never forget this. He said, I'm giving you the shortened version. He said, my team's job is to find fallen firefighters. And I am the only one surviving in my role out of there's 5 teams in the city. They're all gone.
Wow.
I'm the only guy qualified right now. I'm getting emotional telling this to you. I'm the only guy qualified right now to go do the job that needs to get done. I would rather die than go to the hospital right now because I'm going to do my job.
Wow.
Well, we gave him another liter of fluid, gave him some food, and said, come check back in with us every half hour. We'll monitor you here and allow you to do your job, sir. And in my opinion, that's leadership. That's heroism. That's not somebody who's not, that's real. That's I got to get, I have a mission. I'm clear about what my mission is, and I am going to get it done. And if anyone can take a piece of that, and not everybody is a firefighter and not everybody's a lieutenant in a rescue company in the fire department, but each one of us, as a mom, as a dad, as a son, a daughter, as a person in the world, we all have a mission. We all have a God-given mission. We all have a capability. We have a history and a development of skills and strengths and weaknesses, struggles, hardships. And somewhere in the middle of that mix is the perfect mission for each one of us. And if we can treat it like that captain, not a lieutenant, that captain from the rescue company, the way he treated his mission, the world would be a completely better place. So
amen.
Yes. You know what I'm saying? And if I went too deep in the weeds there,
to serve to get the result, which is to save lives, I'm 100% behind you on this one. That if someone is that committed to the result, whatever it is their chosen mission is, then the world will be a better place when everyone has that level of commitment. And that's a great example of leadership. I cannot think of a finer example of leadership than that right there, where he put himself in the line, to serve others, where he put himself on the line to get the outcome that he committed to getting. To me, there's no stronger example than someone who does that to serve others and to get the outcome that they committed to. That's real drive, motivation, inspiration, everything rolled up in one. So I love it. I call that in the coaching practice the pill and the peanut butter, i.e. modeling, so that everyone else sees it and knows that's the way that things are supposed to be done as a leader, as someone who committed to that role. So wow, underneath the most intense circumstance imaginable, he showed up, and I'm glad we're talking about it.
I want to say this, that I had, I don't know, that story wasn't top of mind for me. But when COVID started, and we had to, I taught in 2 or 3 different places at the time, in a high school for youth who are struggling a little bit, and a post-high school program for first-year college students who required a different type of model. And all of a sudden, it's like, what are we going to talk about now? Like, the world's coming to an end, right? Like, what's next? And suddenly that story showed up, and I told the story for the first time probably in 10 or 15 years. But what I said was, each one of you are the captain of your own future. Each one of you right now has the opportunity and the mission to do the best you can in circumstances that we have never witnessed in our lifetime. And it's interesting that technically we're past COVID. I don't know. We could argue we're still in COVID. I don't know. The world changed since COVID, that's for sure. But here's the point. I still think it's true. I keep hearing people say winter is coming. There's a recession here. It's not here. I don't know. I don't know if we want to argue about this or debate this, but I'm pretty sure the world changed. And I'm also sure it's not going back. The jack came out of the box and it's not folding back in. And I don't know. Like, they say the only constant is change or something like that.
That's it. Yeah.
The world has changed and it'll continue to change. And it's evolving rapidly. It's moving really quickly, or so it seems. And all the skills and tools that prepared us to get here are great. And we're going to need to adapt.
Yes.
I also realized, and this was a tough realization for me, that I have a unique ability, having spent the greater part of 20 years mostly working with struggling youth, and of course, a bunch of entrepreneurs who sometimes look the same as struggling youth, just as my kid says they can do more damage. The executives I'm talking about.
I love the way you've taken the most serious subjects. Now we're segueing into a little jab at entrepreneurs.
Yeah, right.
Which is true. I might add, the entrepreneurs being good.
Something? I was listening. I actually was listening on driving earlier, and I was listening to your interview with Dr. Kelly. Wow, what a powerful interview!
Great man.
And he was talking about our healing and that inner kid who's the trying to come out and play or being afraid and compensating. And I would say that right now, I'd be surprised if we're not all really triggered by what's going on because we don't have so much control. And the less control we perceive we have, the more likely we are to compensate with some mechanism that may not be the healthiest. And it's an opportunity for us to bring our healthiest side forward and say, wow, I'm really triggered. Things are out of my control. Things are changing rapidly. I'm not sure what to do with this. Well, here's the key. When you were younger or when you were less mature or when you were less knowledgeable, you also didn't know and you figured it out. And you figured it out because you had help from people around you potentially, because you had maybe leaders or elders or parents or somebody around you who was giving you information. And then you figured it out for yourself. And so I think that we as a global community are facing something that probably nobody we know ever faced. They faced other challenges, struggles, and hardships. And then, this takes me right into resilience, right? The more we can embrace that we don't know, but that we have an inner ability to adapt, the more resilient we're going to be. And then whatever comes our way, we're going to figure it out. And we'll trust ourselves enough, just enough, that we'll either get outside support that we require or we'll just bring something from inside we may not even know we have and bring that forward.
Okay.
And so if I want to link going back from all the way back in September 11, 01 to today, to me, I watched the world change back then and I had no idea what was coming. And I remember coming home that night. You asked me, what was that like? I came home that night, late at night. I don't remember how late it was. And I was living in Brooklyn. And I got back I think I got a ride home and I had to walk 2 blocks from wherever I was to my apartment. And the city was silent. The city is never silent.
Yeah.
The city was silent. There were no traffic. There were no dogs. There were no people. I saw one guy walking down the street and I remember feeling terror. Is it safe? Like I was living in a war zone. That's the feeling that I had. And I've been to Israel and times when it was risky to be in certain areas, very risky and scary. And it felt like those times. And I got home and I was overwhelmed. My sense of safety and security that I live with and you live with every single day was shaken to its core. And then I said, wait, we need to do something. And then I spoke to my partner and he was a mess. He was able to cry. I wasn't crying. I was just, I don't know where I am. And I lived in an apartment building and there were two guys in my building who were studying to become psychologists. And so I walked upstairs the next morning and knocked on their doors. I said, listen, I have a whole squad of EMTs who are pretty shaken. What do you guys do for this? And I learned about critical incident stress debriefing. So we called a debrief. and we got together, and we, I learned new skills and tools, and then I trained in critical incident stress debriefing for first responders. And then years later, I had an opportunity where a friend of mine was lifeguarding in a camp for special needs kids, and a boy drowned in the pool. And it was horrifying. And, that training kicks in right away. I had language. I knew who to call. By that evening, like, the investigators were still trying to figure out what happened. We had people there sitting with the campers who were in the pool at the time, sitting with the staff, debriefing, talking. We don't know what we don't know, and it's okay to feel what you feel or don't feel, and we'll figure out, all the things that you can do in that moment to minimize the intensity of what's going to happen, so that it doesn't have the same negative long-term impact. And I think that the whole world really needs some type of critical incident stress debriefing right now, and it feels like we're still in some of it. Like, there's parts of the world that are still in lockdown or going through lockdowns. There are people who, a lot of people are not with us anymore. I mean, I lost two, not from COVID, but just this year. My father's younger brother, my uncle, was celebrating. It'll be not celebrating. We're acknowledging. I use the word celebration. We're acknowledging the passing in January 3rd. So in a couple of days from now, it'll be 1 year. And then I have a few. I'm the oldest, but I had some older brothers in my life. The kid from out of town that stayed in the dormitory. My dad was in charge of he was the dean of the dormitory. So the out of town kids would all hang out for years. They were my older brothers. And one of his main characters that would constantly be in our home, passed this year. My uncle, I had the rabbi that I worked with for the last 19 years. We've done some incredible things together in terms of working within the community and building out programming to support young women with their growth and adaptability. And he got sick, and it's not even a year yet. And, there's a lot of weight. I realized the other day that I'm walking around like very sad. Not sad like I'm sad I can't function. Sad like there's a heaviness, and there's a reality check of age, of death is very present for me, and it has been. And if I'm going to go ADD on you for a minute. 2.5 years ago, that picture I sent you from June of 20, right at the beginning of COVID. So go one before that. I gave plasma. So I had COVID before we knew it was COVID. And then when they were looking for plasma donations, I had antibodies. So I donated plasma in, I want to say May, probably May of 2020.
Okay.
And you see me sitting hooked up to the machine there,
Yes.
And then, there I am. And I was happy to go give my plasma if that's going to help someone's life. Of course. What's the question? It was a little freaky. They put in these things. I donated bone marrow once, so it was easier than that process. And then about a month later, 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, my right eye, the retina tore in 3 different places. I almost went blind.
What?
And
okay.
Yeah.
Well, talk about challenges then. And I got the picture you sent me around
You
that.
said you wanted to talk about challenges. Yeah. So there I am post-op, and now I got to wear glasses. And it's been a 2.5 year. I'm at the best place that I've been since that surgery in terms of my ability to see and function.
Okay.
But I went from, running 5, 6, sometimes 10 miles in a day to being face down on a couch for 23.5 hours a day for weeks and weeks on end in recovery from that eye surgery.